Hello guys. All right, part 3 of our Thursday class for Kendall, Maggie, and Vihaan. All right, so we are on our term reviews. This is topics 1 through 3, term review 1. So in our term reviews, we're kind of just going over the topics that we've learned. Okay, so in this book, you're going to see adding and subtracting in hundreds. You're going to see some base 10 problems. You're going to see some place value stuff where you have to tell what the number represents, and we're even going to see some bar modeling in the back. So we're going to go through some of these together, and then at the very end, I'm going to have you all write down and do your time test for me. If I can remember which numbers we were on, we may just do one all together, I think, today. Okay, so looking at your term review, let's start on number 2, okay? So we're looking at the value of the digit 8 in the number 582, okay? So the easiest way to do this is to write out your number, okay? So 582. They're asking us the value of this digit, okay? Now some of you, your first answer would just be to say 8. And that's incorrect. Do you all know why that's incorrect? So when we're talking about place value, our numbers are representative of their place value holders, okay? So when we start over here with the 2 is in the ones place, okay? So the 2 just represents a 2, okay? That's all it is. Now, when we move on to the 8, this is in the tens place. So that 8 is actually representing 8 of these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that 8 doesn't represent 8. What does it represent? Yes, it is 8 of these, but 8 tens is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So that 8 is actually 80. Okay, make sense? If it had asked us the value of the 5, we would say 500, that's right. So just make sure you pay attention to what the questions are asking you, okay? All right, on page 2, we're getting into adding mentally here, and you all are ready for this. So if we add 40 and 543 mentally, yes, we could get out our base 10 blocks. Yes, we could write it on our whiteboard. But what we want to get to where we can do is to just add stuff like this in our head, okay? So doing this in your head, the first thing that I think about is what that place value would look like, okay? So when we add numbers like this, we did this in our first and second books, we always start with adding the ones. So if I'm adding the ones column, 3 plus 0 is 3. Now we can add the tens. 4 and 4 is 8. Now we can add the hundreds. 5, and there's no 100 over here, so just 5. 583. Okay? Number 6. We're going to subtract 300 from 468 mentally. What is the answer? Now, some of you might say, whoa, I can't add that mentally, but you can. Do the same thing we just did with the last one, okay? Now, remember, subtracting, we would always have our bigger number on top, okay? But we can still start with our ones. 8 minus 0 is 8. Now, go on to subtract your tens. 6 minus 0 is 6. And now we can do our hundreds. We've got 4 minus 3 is 1. So we should have 168. See, we are getting so smart. Now we can add and subtract things in our head. All right, let's go on to numbers 13 and 14, which are on page 5, okay? So we're gonna be adding these numbers here. And please, please, please make sure you all show your work in the box below, especially because you're not there with me today. I really wanna see how you get to the answers that you get. And I also really, really, really want them to be written neatly, okay? So when you write these out, make sure that I can clearly see your hundreds, your tens, and your ones, because it's just the easiest way to add, and make sure you do it correctly, all right? So we're doing 330 336 plus 276. Okay? Answer line. I always go up and label my placeholders. Hundreds, tens, and ones. All right, now I can already tell here that we're gonna have to do some carrying over, okay? So I'm gonna always start in my ones column. Our first step is to do 6 plus 6. 6 plus 6, who can tell me that one? 12, that's right. So my 2 goes down here, 1 up at the top. Now we can add 7 plus 3 is 10, but don't forget to add your 1 up here. 11. Now we can add our hundreds. 300 and 200 would be 500, but we still have this guy up here. Add the 1, 600. So 336 plus 276 is 612. So see in my answer, you can clearly see my hundreds, my tens, my ones. You can see what I carried. Please make sure that your alls looks nice and neat too. It's easier for me to grade. Now let's just do one subtraction one, just to practice. All right. So we've got 801 minus 254. 801 minus 254. All right. Now, let me scoot this over so you all can see it a little better. So now when we're looking at a problem like this, okay, we're going to start with our ones column. I have 1 minus 4. If I have 1 cookie, can I take 4 away? I can't. So I'm going to jump over to my tens. But uh-oh, there's no tens. Can we borrow from nothing? No, we can't. So we're going to have to jump even farther to our hundreds. Instead of this being 800, we're going to make it 700. Okay, now that would make this a 10, but we still need to borrow for our ones column over here. So we're actually going to make this a 9, and this can finally be 11. All right, so now we're ready. 11 minus 4. 7, right. Now we've got our tens column. 9 minus 5 is 4. And finally, the hundreds column, 7 minus 2, right, equal to 5. So your answer should be 547. So please make sure in your work shown below that I can see what you're borrowing from, what you got, everything. I want to see it all, okay? Do number 15 real quick. So this is 382 minus circle equals 297. We have to figure out what that circle number stands for, okay? We have another one just like it on number 16, so we're going to do one of them so that hopefully you can do the other one by yourself. All right, so if I am subtracting, and I need to figure out this missing number right here. I know my whole, and I know one part. I'm trying to figure out my other part. Okay, so 382 minus what equals 297? What do you all think we would do to figure this one out? All right, let's go ahead and write. So if we're taking, we've got a number here and a number here, okay? Even though we don't know what's going here, so let's see if we would add or subtract. If we added 382 and 297, we're gonna get a number that's bigger in the middle here, which would mess us up because then we couldn't subtract it from it, right? So what if we subtract 382 from 297? Let's try that. $382 minus 297, okay? Starting with the ones. Can we take 7 away from 2? No, we can't. So coming over to the 8, make it a 7. Makes this a 12. Now we can do 12 minus 7, which would be 5. Now, I'm at 7 minus 9. Can't do that, so we're going to borrow from the 3. Whoops, make this 17. Minus 9. Should give me 8. 2 minus 2 is 0, so we would have 85 over here. So 382 minus 85. Now, in order to figure that out, we would just solve it. So let's do 382, just to double check ourselves, minus 85, okay? Can't take 5 from 2. Turn this into a 7, 12. This would be 7, 2, 9, 297, 297. We're correct. Okay, so same thing over here. Okay, now this one, you're missing the first number. This one, we were missing the second number. So this is going to be just a little bit different. So you've got to figure out blank minus 244 equals 591. All right, so we're going to do a couple of our bar modeling problems just to finish up. So Mrs. Tay had $477. After buying a fan, she had $281 left. How much did the fan cost? Okay, so who are we talking about here? Mrs. Tay, that's right. And what are we talking about? We're talking about her money and buying a fan, correct? All right, so we're trying to figure out how much this fan cost, okay? So I'm gonna start with my bar model. Remember, we always draw our line so we know where we're going, okay? And I wanna start with that $477. Because this is what she had, okay? She had $477. Now, she bought a fan, okay? We don't know how much her fan is, but we know that after she bought it, she had $281, okay? So we need to show $281. I would say if we're looking at this whole as 477, 281, I'd probably say right here, okay? This is my 281. Now this is the cost of the fan. Do we know how much the fan costs right now? That's right, we do not. Okay? So your bar model should look like mine. She had $477. She bought a fan, and she had $280 left. So in order to figure out this piece, do you think we are adding or subtracting? We are subtracting because we're starting with a big hole. We're getting to a smaller piece, and we're trying to figure out this little small piece, okay? So we're going to take our 477 minus 281. All right? So we'll do 7 minus 1 is 6. Can't take 8 away from 7. So what do we have to do? Borrow from the 4. Turn this into 17. Should give this 9 and 1. So she had, oops, or the fan cost $196, okay? Now, for the rest of these, make sure you draw bar models, okay? And you've just got to figure out if you are adding something together or subtracting it, taking it away, and it'll be a lot easier to figure that out if you draw it out first, okay? Now, last thing we're going to do is a time test. So I'm going to start with, since all three of you were on different time tests, let's just do a +7, okay? Just together. So I'm going to put this up here. I need you all to either pause or just write down these problems for me, okay? So write them down on a piece of paper, and if you will please have your mom and dad time you, okay? And write down on the top of your piece of paper how much time it took you so that when you turn your booklets in, I can see what your time test was, okay? That is all for this class. I'll see y'all next time. Let me know if you have any questions.